curriculum. It only became an entity in the medical literature in 1979, and today it's apparently the number 4 killer of adults in the United States over the age of 65, behind cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, and then comes Alzheimer's disease. And it appears to me with no doubt that it's due to what I call a physician-caused disease, because doctors have encouraged people, in fact demanded that people give up saturated fat and cholesterol and move towards a cholesterol-restricted or even a cholesterol-free diet to get their blood cholesterol down below 200, and they have created no less than 25 of these cholesterol deficiency diseases, and to me Alzheimer's disease is one of the big ones. 75% of our brain weight is pure cholesterol. It's called myelin. It's this fatty stuff that insulates each nerve fiber of the brain and spinal cord, and we can only make about 10% of our daily need of cholesterol. The other 90% must come from the diet, and if a person is very, very good at giving up chicken skin and red meat and dairy and eggs like a doctor would have them do, after about 6 or 8 or 10 years, they're not going to be able to keep up with the maintenance and repair needs of the cholesterol for the myelin in the brain and spinal cord. And so you can just expect that the person's going to develop one or more of these 25 physician-caused diseases, including acquired seizure disorders and Alzheimer's disease. Now, the best way to avoid Alzheimer's disease is to eat a couple of eggs every morning for breakfast, not cooked in margarine or fried. You want to consume as much as 72 ounces of red meat every month. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's just a quarter pounder a day. And you want to supplement with all 90 essential nutrients. And when you get to the vitamin E level, you want to have at least 2,000 international units of vitamin E, and you want 500 micrograms of selenium. And if you do that, even if you already have Alzheimer's disease, you can expect to have a significant amount of return of memory. A great study done by the University of California, San Diego, and the Salk Institute that says by taking 2,000 international units of vitamin E alone, even if you have advanced Alzheimer's disease, you can get a significant amount of memory return.
I remodel homes for families. You notice these little children bouncing off of walls, and what they get for breakfast and a snack after breakfast and then lunch again normally has sugar in it. Is there any correlation here with ADD?
Absolutely. Back at the turn of the century, 1895 to 1900, Americans were eating ½ a pound of sugar per person per year. Today it's 150 pounds of sugar per person per year, and somebody out there is eating 300 pounds because I don't eat any. And I can tell you that there's a direct correlation between the increase in ADD, ADHD, depression, manic depression, bipolar disease, and the increased consumption of sugar. And if you look at it, there's 5 million American children, school-age children, who are on Ritalin and Prozac and imipramine and other antidepressants in school. 5 million drugged American kids in the preschool and elementary school, simply because these kids are sensitive to sugar, like many people are sensitive to alcohol. There's good alcoholics who just kind of go to sleep when they have a couple of drinks. There's the people who get boisterous and sing loud Irish songs when they take a couple of drinks. And there's some people who get violent and very angry and become dangerous to themselves and other people. Child abuse, spouse abuse, they abuse their neighbors. Road rage is another way of looking at this. Life-threatening situations. People actually will gain criminal behavior sometimes because alcohol acts like a drug in them. Same way with sugar. Some people, when they take in sugar, they have low blood sugar and they just get drowsy and fall asleep. Some people, when they take in sugar, they get hyperactive and boisterous and actually ADD, ADHD. And then there's some people, when they take in sugar, again, will have road rage. They're very, very aggressive and reactive and can be dangerous to themselves and their families and other people in the community. And to me, it's criminal for Coca-Cola machines and candy machines in school and then wonder why kids beat up on each other or shoot each other. Well, in addition to getting all the sugar out of their life from sugar frosted flakes and Pepsis and Reese's peanut butter cups and candy and Pop-Tarts and syrup on their Egos, they have to supplement with all 90 essential nutrients. Even little kids, from the moment they're born, to develop properly, this includes their emotions, and repair and maintain themselves, and especially lithium, chromium, and vanadium. And there's an enormous amount of research in human beings which show that lithium deficiency results in hyperactivity, ADD, ADHD, depression, manic depression, and criminal behavior. And so they have to do both. And you can avoid all this. It's amazing. Just within days, they will be perfectly normal little kids.
My next question is, my husband and I are thinking about starting a family, and we want to know the nutritional way to go.
Okay, that's a great question. People always ask me, well, when do children need to start taking vitamins and minerals? And the answer is when they're still an egg is when you want to start them. And so we've learned in the animal industry, and remember I'm a veterinarian as well as a physician, we've learned in the animal industry that we could prevent as much as 98% of all birth defects, even ones that are thought to be genetic in humans, simply by giving the females, especially the females, all known essential nutrients for that species 6 months prior to conception. Build up that female animal's body in stores of these essential nutrients so that the embryo implants in the uterine wall and develops in an environment that has optimal amounts, guaranteed optimal amounts of all the nutrients, and you will almost eliminate the possibility of a congenital birth defect related to a mineral or vitamin or amino acid or essential fatty acid deficiency. To give you some idea of how successful this is, according to the University of California, San Francisco, right now in America, 1 out of every 33 human babies in America are born with some physical or emotional or mental birth defect. 1 out of 33. In animals, it's only 1 out of 500,000 if they're fed these commercial diets that have all the known nutrients in them. And so it's just very, very easy to understand, well, if we supplement young women and men who are in the childbearing years with these nutrients, that we'll be able to eliminate, totally eliminate cleft palates, cleft lips, spina bifida, eye defects, heart defects, hernias of various types, club feet, no feet, webbed fingers and toes, no fingers and toes, muscular dystrophy, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, cystic fibrosis. These are all preventable with proper preconception nutrition. So the earlier that a couple who wants to have normal, healthy children and have a wonderful, uncomplicated pregnancy, the earlier you can get on all 90 essential nutrients prior to conception, the better off everybody is.
Hello, Dr. Wallach. The women in my family are plagued with hay fever and asthma and allergies, and I don't want to join those ranks. Is there a better way?
Absolutely. Let's start with asthma. It's the easiest one to deal with. Asthma is actually a deficiency of 3 nutrients, magnesium, manganese, and the essential fatty acids. And by taking the pig arthritis formula twice a day, you're going to get the optimal amounts of the plant-derived colloidal and the chelated magnesium and manganese. And then by taking the minimum daily requirement, the 9 grams of the essential fatty acids, and those 3 nutrients together, the magnesium, manganese, and the essential fatty acids, will allow you to produce what's called prostaglandins. Prostaglandins are little short-lived hormones that last in your bloodstream 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and your body is continuously making them, kind of rapid fire. And when you don't have those 3 nutrients, you cannot make the proper prostaglandins to keep your bronchi and your trachea open, and that's when you develop asthma. And it's very common when people take all 90 essential nutrients, including the magnesium and manganese and the essential fatty acids, within weeks or months, the tightness, this constant tightness in their chest, is significantly reduced or maybe even totally relieved. The frequency and the severity of their asthma attacks is reduced. I would certainly still keep an inhaler available until in case you have some unexpected emergency, kind of like wearing your seatbelt, even though you're on a smooth flight and you're not going to anticipate sudden turbulence. You need to be prepared for emergencies, but you have every honest expectation of doing very well. Then, as far as inhalant allergies from dust and pollens, and seasonal ones from dust and pollens, and maybe constant ones from danders on cats and dogs and chickens and feathers in your pillows and that kind of thing. Maybe even chemicals that come out of rugs and formica and new cars like formaldehyde and other chemicals. You want to get your immune system working optimally so it can protect you from these things, because most people are able to tolerate them. And what happens is when your immune system doesn't have enough nutrition to function optimally, you become a victim of these things assaulting you all the time. And so what you want to do is, number one, take all 90 essential nutrients. So your immune system, which includes your liver and your spleen, your tonsils and your appendix, your thymus, your white blood cells, which include the neutrophils and the lymphocytes and the killer T cells and so forth. Also, you have eosinophils and basophils. You have neutrophils. All of these white blood cells, you have albumins and globulins, which are the immune proteins. You have antibodies themselves. You have your digestive system, your skin, your tears, the mucus in your body. All of that requires 90 essential nutrients to produce this immune system, which is not just your killer T cells It includes all of these tissues and cells and organs of your body. Also, if you have these types of problems, you want to get some of these Hepa filters at your workplace, in your home when you sleep. You can get the ones that you plug in your car. You want to eat as much organically grown food as possible. You want to drink filtered waters. You want to get as much chemicals out of your diet as possible and reduce this pressure on your immune system. If you have food allergies, you want to have a 5-day rotation diet. You want to take the enzyme, which has the pepsin and the betaine hydrochloride, which will help a person digest the proteins down into single amino acid. And it's the proteins and the allergens, such as danders and foods and pollens and dust, that cause the allergies and even can initiate an attack of asthma.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Is it possible that you can take too much?
Well, it's a great question, because people are concerned about overdosing with vitamins and minerals. The general answer is that if you look at the medical profession, according to the Center for Disease Control, Harvard Medical School, the U.S. News and World Report, Ralph Nader, Sidney Wolf, Rand Corporation, and many, many other well-respected institutions, they say that doctors kill 150,000 to 300,000 Americans each year in hospitals alone as a result of medical negligence. Doctors injure 1.3 million Americans each year in hospitals alone as a result of medical negligence. And doctors infect 2 million Americans alone in hospitals as a result of medical negligence, for a total of 3.5 million casualties inflicted on the American public each year in hospitals just as a result of medical negligence. On the other side of this picture, there's not a single person who's overdosed in vitamins and minerals and trace minerals to the point where they have to be hospitalized or anything bad happen. And so when you compare the safety of vitamins and minerals and trace minerals and compared with standard medical procedures, it's enormously safe. And that's why I'm so excited about nutrition and the pig arthritis formula and the plant-derived colloidal minerals, and that's the direction I'd go.
Dr. Wallach, my 16-year-old daughter has been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. What can you do for her?
Well, it's actually an easy one. We eliminated fibromyalgia in animals in 1957. And in sheep, it was called stiff lamb disease, and also in sheep and calves and foals, which are baby horses, and chickens and turkeys, and any other animal that was raised for meat. The disease is caused by a deficiency of 3 nutrients: the trace mineral selenium, vitamin E, and the sulfur-bearing amino acid methionine. And there's 2 things you have to do to deal with fibromyalgia. Number 1, eliminate the free radicals and the trans fatty acids that actually initiate damage to the muscle and cause a scarring of the muscle tissue, which is very painful, even normal muscle movement. And you can understand why they call it stiff lamb disease if you have fibromyalgia. First of all, you eliminate fried foods, such as fried potatoes, which are, teenagers live on fried potatoes, right? So you have to eliminate fried potatoes, fried chicken, fish, shrimp, fried eggs, tempura, stir fry, anything fried, all margarine, salad dressings with oils in them have to be eliminated. And then again, the pig arthritis formula is perfect because it has optimal amounts of the trace mineral selenium in both the plant-derived colloidal and the chelated form. It has optimal amounts of vitamin E and the sulfur-bearing amino acid methionine. And it just works like a charm very quickly. Within weeks or months, they feel and they can recognize some benefit, and many people will get significant benefit very quickly.
Dr. Wallach, are baby formulas enough for our babies when they're born?
Unfortunately not. Our formulas that we give to dogs, whether it's kind of like Science Diet dog food, or the puppy or kitten milk replacers for puppies and kittens you're going to raise by hand, have 40 minerals in them, including the minerals lithium, chromium, vanadium, and selenium. Ralston Purina laboratory rat pellets contain 28 minerals, including lithium, chromium, vanadium, and selenium. There's not a single human milk replacer on the market, off the shelf of a grocery store, that has more than 12 minerals. None of them contain lithium, chromium, vanadium, and only 2, Pro-Soybean and Infamil, have selenium in them. And it's tragic that we give our dogs 40 minerals and our rats 28 and our kids 12 or less. You can begin to see why we spent $1.2 trillion for health care last year. You begin to see why we only live to be 75.5, half of our genetic potential for longevity of 120 to 140, why we only rank 17th in longevity and 19th in healthiness, simply because we don't get the basic raw materials to develop properly and maintain and repair ourselves from the very beginning. I'll give you a tragic example. Sudden infant death syndrome is something that everybody is familiar with. We eliminated sudden infant death syndrome in animals back in the 1950s because farmers can't afford to lose 2 or 3 or 5 or 10% of the baby animals they're raising to sudden infant death syndrome. And we learned that it was due to a deficiency of the trace mineral selenium, causing sudden death in the most robust, the healthiest of the baby animals in the group, or the herd or the flock. And we eliminate it simply by giving the pregnant mothers selenium, and as soon as the baby is born or hatched, they get selenium. And if you look at the human infant milk replacers on the market, only 2 of all of them put selenium in the formula. And so if I was going to raise a child today on these infant milk replacers, these infant milk formulas in a can or a bottle or a box, I would pick the 2, Pro Soybean and Infamil, that have selenium in them. And to stack things in favor of the child, I would still give them, from the moment they're born, a teaspoon for 20 pounds of body weight of the pig arthritis formula twice a day. Obviously, you may not want to use the orange juice in a newborn baby because they can develop allergies to it, but I would still give them the plant-derived colloidal and the chelated minerals and vitamins and amino acids. And the tragic example of this is 65%, this is a known fact, 65% of all the babies dying of sudden infant death syndrome in America are being fed canned milk replacers. 2/3 of the ones who die of sudden infant death syndrome are being fed these canned infant formulas. And I guarantee you, they're being fed the ones that don't have selenium in them. And so, absolutely, it's important to supplement these babies from birth, because you can't get everything you need from your 4 food groups, certainly not out of these canned formulas.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.